All right, friends, it's Saturday. We had Smackdown, the first Smackdown since WrestleMania last night. So let's talk about. No, I'm not in my kitchen. If you are new here, my name's Victoria, and I am a huge fan of pro wrestling. I'm also Mrs. New York American 2024. So let's talk about SmackDown. And I do these videos because honestly, I have to watch SmackDown alone a lot of times. My husband watches, but he's not a big fan, and I like having people to talk to about what's going on. Um, so highlights of the night for me, we my husband said this, how Jacob Fatu wears his belt. This is living rent free in my head right now, y'all. Um, so of course we had this craziness with Jacob Fatu, Solo Sakura. We're still seeing like the riff with them. Also, where was Tonga? Like, where is he? Is he injured? Did I miss that, or am I forgetting that? But I had that question I wrote last night, so I'm looking at my notes. Um, so that whole thing was very interesting. We'll talk about more about what happened at the end of the night. Of course, the John Cena of it all. John Cena and Randy Orton. I'm a little annoyed because I feel like how do I explain this? I felt like one of the issues with the Cody and Cena build was Cody not making it as personal. And what I mean by that is it was always, how did you do this to the fans? And like, I agree with that. But also, I feel like the step he needed to take in those promos was like, how could you do this to me? You were my mentor. I idolized you. I did da da da. And you have turned your back on all of this and saying you're going to ruin the sport that I've grown up loving, that I thought you grew up loving. Like, I felt like that would have been a little bit more to the heart, more real. Tell me if you disagree with me, but and then I say that again in the Randy Orton promo where he's talking about the fans again. And I feel like more so you could turn it into you like the personal line could even be I stayed, right? Like they kind of started at a similar time. I think Randy a little bit before, corrected me if I'm wrong. But Randy has always said that Hollywood was never his ultimate goal. Like he's gotten roles, but like he is a pro wrestler. This is what he's good at. This is what he wants to do. This is where he wants to stay. And Cena is the opposite, right? Cena's just hopping in when he wants, his 28 dates or whatever is left in his calendar. And like he doesn't like he's disrespecting the scene that Randy loves. And in so he's disrespecting Randy. And I feel like that needs to be more the arc they take with this. Um Interesting the thing about the children, I didn't really think that part landed well, which is hard for me because I think Randy's one of the best promos in the business. I do. I love a Randy Orton promo. Um yeah, it was weird and it didn't land right personally with me. Um, and I was odd they went there. And I didn't also think it landed when John Cena picked it up either. It was just weird to me. It was weird. Was it weird to you? It was weird to me. Um, Next big thing, of course, was Solo Sokoa, all that stuff. I love LA Knight. I'm happy. I was very worried that LA Knight not winning at WrestleMania was really gonna hurt him, but and then you had Drew McIntyre involved. Like it was just like a cluster, and then it became more of a cluster later in the night because during that match we had Solo interfere, we had Damian Priest coming out at one point. It was just mania. And then Jacob Fatu to finish it off. It was crazy in the best way. It's a lot of characters though, all playing at once, and that is my one concern with this moving forward. Is how is this going to break down into smaller storylines? Because it's not like faction versus faction, right? So how are they going to break it up into smaller storylines that make sense? That is my concern with there. I feel like it's gonna be end up Solo Jacob, but I feel like they might save that for SummerSlam. So how are what are they doing the next 15 days to Backlash? Also, Did not realize Backlash was so soon after WrestleMania. I feel like the calendar is really weird this year. Like the build to WrestleMania was longer than I think it needed to be. And now we have this really fast build to Backlash. So that all is very curious to me. Um, Chelsea Green. So Chelsea Green faced Zelina, and Zelina won. No, you get spoilers here with me. You know that. It was an okay match. I mean, my husband's just like Zelina is just sometimes hard to believe, and yeah. But yeah, happy for Zelina, her first singles championship. It was a decent match. It's also the same night, of course, that her real life husband premiered on SmackDown. We gotta talk about that too. But yeah, the other thing, just going back to John Cena real quick, we got R-Truth sighting. As always, a national treasure. Loved him so much. The interesting thing too is that of course we had the big blowout with Tiffany, and then my husband's like, seriously, only you. I had just said like we haven't seen Nia Jax in a long time. Whoop. So she is back, apparently going to battle with Tiffany. Um, I don't know. This is like what, round 6 or 7 with them. I'm just a little. There's a lot going on this show, and I don't know what direction it's all gonna go in. That was my big concern at the like finishing this episode. I was kind of like, there's a lot of pieces that are not finalized. I don't know where they're going. But again, it's so soon after WrestleMania. But again, with Backlash being so quick, it seems just odd to me. Um, that's all me. Yeah, so that was a little weird. I talked about the Chelsea Green thing. The TLC match. I have a very, very high bar when it comes to TLC matches. To me, those first two TLC matches are so iconic. I feel like the jumping off the ladder and spearing was not as amazing as when Jeff got speared. And I feel like to harken back to that moment, it like fell flat. There was a lot of weird things in this match. However, I will say the visual of that ending with Montez Ford putting his legs inside the ladder to climb. Never have I seen that before in a ladder match. Jaw open. Like, they retain the titles. Again, still very confused where this is all gonna go after this with them. And I feel like, they've kind of like not faltered. I feel like that's the wrong word. I just don't know what they're going to do with all these teams. Like, there needs to be more meat behind some of this, I feel like. Yeah, that was my no on that. It was good. It just, I think when I hear TLC, it like as a fan from that era, it has such a special place, and it just didn't fully hit the mark for me. Other things though, definitely the Jacob Fatu run in that match prior was great. I loved the Chelsea Green thing. I thought that match was very well done. I think she's great in the ring. Like I said, I feel like the Randy Orton promo and the John Cena thing did not hit me the way I thought it would. But Malachi Black, sorry, Annister Black. I'm gonna do that a couple of times probably soon. I thought it was a great like visual way to bring him in. I thought my one issue was that you could tell something was happening during the Mrs. promo because people kept getting up and looking. And even my husband's like, who's coming out? Like, why aren't they showing who's coming out? Because it was so clear from the crowd that something was happening. All in all, though, I think he just has a great look. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm curious if Karrion Kross is going to fit into this. That's my big question with that. And what is next? And also, like everyone else, where is Uncle Howdy? Where is the Wyatt Six? Where are they? They are missing in action as much as Nia Jax was. We believe Uncle Howdy injuries are good, so like he's healed up. So what's going on there? All right, those are my really quick thoughts about SmackDown. There's a lot going on SmackDown. I'm also counting down the days until this is a 2-hour show because I'm a little exhausted still from watching it. All right. Tell me your thoughts. Let's talk in the comments. Bye.